Hello, I'm Corey, and I'm going to be talking about my research project on ESL resources. And I apologize for any background noise as well. Okay, so my problem. Around 10% of students are English as or learn English as a second language. I was one of those students. I came into this country when I was like 4. I had a difficult time learning English, but thankfully I had some help with students and ELD classes. However, there are not a lot of resources for students to help and advance them, as I was lucky. But what is there currently and what can be improved? So my question was, how can students get more ESL accessibility to help and develop the English language? To start off, I wanted to talk about online resources, since there's such a rise in technology as the times are progressing. I wanted to mention how there are online resources that are able to help, like with the Google Books Library Project, where Google is working with the Municipal Library of Lyon in France to digitize 500,000 of their books at no cost. This can create more online books for students to use. Apologies. Second off, there are library websites for students. Libraries were a key studying element for students that didn't have much resources. If you if you were like me, you just went to a library, got a book, and you tried to read it off of that. But now with the rise of the internet, there are computers being accessible in libraries. They can expand their resources to websites that are beneficial for students as well. So, pedagogical changes. I believe that pedagogical practices for classrooms can change. One of these is resourcing the resources, where using a multimodal pedagogy, students can use an invisible resource and remaking it into a new contextual resource that benefits the individual. So, in Pippa Stein's article, she mentioned that she was having a project for her students where they had to take pictures, write about those pictures in the language, and then continue writing off of it in an essay. With that, they use multimodal pedagogy in order to try to regain more information and try to use that invisible resource and make it as well. Another pedagogical change that I believe will help is an appraisal framework, where it can be used for students on expressing emotions and attitudes, the sources of evaluation, and amplifying engagement as well. Some pedagogical theories that I think could be included is the theory of affordance, where a particular property of the environment that an organism can act upon or interact with. This can change depending on an organism that chooses the specific property. So, an example I gave before during class time was a leaf. A frog can use it as a stepping stool. A caterpillar will use it as food. A bug can use it as shade and stuff like that. However, the leaf remains the same. This is the same with practices in schools as well. A book for me may not be as beneficial, but for another student, it can be beneficial. Another theory is the theory of translanguishing, which is the notion of multilingual learners having only one linguistic repertoire from which they select features strategically to communicate effectively. This can function through student teacher relationships working together and shifting into an equal balance. So, normally, if students have only one language, they are afraid to talk their native language to the teacher. So by creating an equal balance where the teacher can also communicate with them, it'll create more of a positive experience for them and have more accessibility for them. So how can students get also more accessibility? I believe that cultural integration is a key part as well. By culturally responsive teaching improving communications, it understands that student cultures, teachers can develop a classroom culture that provides incentives for good motivation that may be a foundation for academic success. So as students who are like probably immigrating from another country and they come here, they often feel isolated or alone. But if they're able to have a more cultural community in that classroom, they feel more welcome. They're able to learn it better. Another one that I learned was socio-cultural perspectives included into teaching. So the socio-cultural theory suggests that a study of second language learning should be situated within the context of the macro social and institutional structures of everyday practices. So this provides teachers to being more empathetic towards students and follow like a sort of safe zone. where they feel like students shouldn't have to leave their background or who they are at home. They should bring who they are into the classroom and be more integrative as that as well. So lastly, I believe that more accessibility for students is on systems of helping. One of these is an error detection system. The reason that I put this is because prepositional errors make up for 29% of all errors by ESL students. Like an example that I put down is that he went to the outside instead of saying he went outside. I know I've had these issues when I was learning English as well. By creating an error detection system that students are able to use, let's say online, they're able to learn and fix the mistakes that they've made while also improving their work, their essays, and their grades as well. Another system that I believe that will be able to help them is a plagiarism software. So, with the Western academic definition of plagiarism, it can be different from other countries on how they view plagiarism. ESL students often choose to copy because they may see it as a safe strategy to fit into the academic world. I know for one of my essays back in elementary school, I copied an entire paragraph because I was afraid that I was going to get it wrong. I did end up getting in trouble for it, but now I know better. So by creating a plagiarism software, let's say like Turnitin, but specifically for students, ESL students, excuse me, they're able less inclined to feel the need to plagiarize while also being able to include their work into the system and being able to see what is right, what is wrong, what can be fixed, how can they fix it as well. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much.